before the class starts is, thank you. This class is a very interactive class. So I expect each and every one of us to share their ideas. One thing I've noticed is that the more you speak out about some of the challenges you face, the better you are at learning. You don't keep it inside. Okay. And in this class, there is nothing like a wrong answer or maybe, excuse my language, a foolish or a stupid question. As long as it's a concern, you would have to address it. But like we said, the first 30 minutes of the class is for theoretical understanding, and the subsequent 1 hour and 120 is for 110 is for um, practical, and then the last 20 is for questions and answers. So that's how the class is going to go from now to the end of the entire session. So kindly keep that in mind. All right, so now let's jump in. These are the outline of the program. I think we've talked about computer programming. We've done the software installation. I would have a look at some of the challenges briefly before we start the class. So today we are going to look at data types, operators, and then arrays. So there is something that I always keep reminding all my students, that you don't have to know everything. One rule you should keep in mind, but you should always know where and how to find everything. It's very, very important. You don't have to reinvent the wheel, because some people have done it already. You just have to get to understand it to the point where when you pick someone else's code, you should be able to, modify it to suit what you want to do. So that is one thing I would advise, we keep in mind as a programmer. And with the programming mindset, I will keep repeating this, that you need to be open-minded. You should be ready to learn something new. There is no one way of doing things. There are several ways of doing things, because it's basically based on how you perceive what to be done. So you need to all right. You should be ready to make mistakes. It's very important. Don't forget. The more mistakes you make, the more you learn. There's nothing wrong with making mistakes as a programmer. And there are no bad ideas. Every idea is a good one, provided it works. It doesn't matter if you use 1,000 or 500,000 lines. As long as it works, it's a good idea. That is why you have people bringing updates over time, because some of the things that they did earlier was working, but they realized there's an efficient way of doing it. That's when the updates come in. So there's nothing like a bad idea. What we consider a bad idea is one that doesn't work. As long as it works, it's not a bad idea. And you should always work smart. Very important, because the programming landscape is always changing at a skyrocketing pace. So if you are going to be going through the normal process of working slowly, by the time you are done with whatever you are doing, it might become obsolete. So always learn to work smart and be resourceful. By being resourceful, you should be someone that is ready to help other people, push other people. By doing so, you also learn a lot. And I keep saying one of the things that helped me is by helping other people, because that's when you actually learn other things with programming that is not directly within your sphere of understanding. And to be honest with you, it can even help you within your sphere of understanding. So keep that in mind. All right. So that being said, we'll quickly jump into the classes. Let me quickly rush to this. We talked about all these things. We did the installation yesterday, and on Monday. And a quick one. I had this slide, but forgot to go through it. So in order to learn Python, it is highly recommended that you use an editor with a Python interpreter. And we did that, I think, yesterday, Monday, where we installed the Jupyter notebook. So that's what we'll be using. And also with the students that are using VS Code, I noticed that if you are not someone that is conversant with using VS Code, it might probably be a little challenging for you. So I would suggest that each and every one of us install the Jupyter notebook. If you have Anaconda, fine, you don't need to install Jupyter notebook, because Jupyter notebook is within Anaconda, so there's no need for you to install it again. However, if you don't have Anaconda, I would suggest you do the installation for the Jupyter notebook. We'll use the first 5 to 10 minutes of the practical session to quickly solve some of these problems. And for those that are using Mac, I've found a solution for you as well. So we'll quickly work on that one. All right. And if I'm going too fast, you can just lift your hand and then prompt me. I feel that there's a lot to be done. So sometimes I may go a bit faster, but just pardon me. If I'm going too fast, you quickly lift your hand and then you draw my attention and I'll slow down for all of us. The main idea is for us to equip ourselves with something after this class. And a quick one too, this class is not meant to make you a guru. It's meant to give you the foundation and the starting blocks to be able to become a very good programmer. And this is from my over a decade of Python programming that I'm sharing with you. Then foundation is very, very, very important. Don't rush to create magnificent code. Make sure you have a solid foundation. Everything else will fall in place. So under this session, the necessary environment needed to program efficiently will be discussed, installed, and illustrated, which we've done. The interpreter has been built into several platforms, which can run on the popular operating systems used Windows, Linux, and Mac OS. So we talked about the IDE, which I mentioned on Monday, the integrated development environment, or you could do it before it was the integrated development learning environment. But you can interchange the two. There are some differences, but at the basic level, the two are similar. So these are some examples of IDEs with built-in interpreters for Python programming. We have the IPython notebook, Jupyter notebook, Spider, Anaconda, and Visual Studio. And for this class, we'll be using Jupyter notebook extensively. And also Jupyter notebook can be found in Anaconda. So if you already have Anaconda, no need for you to install Jupyter notebook. All right. So when you see this sign, this page, it means that we are going to be entering into an interactive session where we are going to do a lot of practice. So just keep this in mind. This is just for reference. All right. So now let's enter today's lessons. Today we are going to be talking about data types. It's very important we know the type of data we are going to be working with. Data types determine how your flow is going to look like, your algorithm is going to look like, and all the necessary building blocks that you are going to use in your work are going to look like based on the data types, because certain operators don't work on certain data types. So let's jump into it. Well, data comes in diverse forms. It could be in the form of characters, numbers, strings, or even a sequence of numbers. And in Python, new data can be defined as and when needed. Python is not like other programming languages where you have to define the type of data you're going to put in a variable. Like it should be an integer, it should be a floating point number, it should be, an array and all those things. It's different. In Python, what you assign to a variable becomes the type of data that is within that variable. It is worth noting that the choice of data used could affect the accuracy of your answer. In that, if you are working with um, um, an algorithm that requires, maybe an error margin of up to say negative 10 to the power -2, if you use integers, you are going to be having challenges because you've rounded up your numbers, which is going to affect the accuracy of your work. So you might want to use floating point numbers in such cases. So the data types you use is very, very, very important. So we'll look at that as well in the practical session. And Python has built-in data types, which we will look at subsequently. So there are some names you might not be using for variables. So while we talk about data types, now let's go into how these data types interact with each other. There are logical data types that are stored as Boolean. So the logical ones are either true or false. So it can either be true or it can be false. So these are the logical data types. And these data types, there are certain operations that can be performed on them. It is very important to understand the operations that can be performed on certain data types. Because if you perform a certain operation that doesn't conform with the data type, you're going to get errors. And the basic ones that you can perform on Boolean is the AND. AND is when you have you want to compare two values to see if they are the same before something happens. So if you have true on the left-hand side, true on the right-hand side, you are good to go. And then there is also or. Or is either left, either the left or the right, whichever one works, it still works, except unless both of them are false. Before, it's not going to work. But for and, you need both of them to be true. But for all, both can be true or one can be true. It is fine. And as long as both of them are false, it's not going to work. And for XOR, what it does is that it's an explicit or. It does is it compares the bits within the what you are comparing. So it's not comparing it on face value. It's comparing their bits. So for example, if you have A on one side and B on one side, and their bits are not the same, then it's going to churn you out true or false based on the bits that are stored within that variable. And not is just a negation of everything. So if you have true, not true means false, obviously. If you have false, not false means it's true. Then there is the numerical data and then numeric data and the sequences. So for Python, there are quite a number of built-in data types like I mentioned. We have the integers, we have the floating point numbers, and we have the complex numbers. These are for integers. And these are for numbers. And they can also come in sequences as well. So in the form of sequences, you can have several numbers stored within a certain variable. And for this, the type of numbers, the type of data you can store within a sequence, it can either be a string data type, it could be a list, it could be a tuple, or it could be a dictionary data type. Don't worry your head about whatever I'm talking about here. These are just the theory to draw your attention on something. Once we go into the practical session, you would appreciate some of these things. So this is just for your information. All right, so now that we are done with the data types, we'll quickly go into the operators. So with the operators, one of the most common operator in Python is the equal to sign. And what this operator does is that it is used to assign values to variables. So during computation, some values used may change, which happens multiple times. And to store these values temporarily, the use of variables is employed. So there are times that you may be using a certain number over and over and over again, but you don't want to be writing it whenever you want to call it. So what you do is you assign it to a variable. And this is how a variable looks like. A variable is basically a container that you can put stuff into them. So what you can put into a container can be a sequence of numbers which are arrays. You can put so within arrays you have the list, you have the dictionary, you have the tuple. In this container you can put integers, you can put floating point numbers which are decimals. Like 1.23. Those are what we call floating point numbers in Python. And you can put strings as well. So we'll look at how all these things are done during the practical session. A variable points to a particular memory allocation in the computer, which hosts that value. So what happens is that if you're running a code and you don't save that value within a variable, it is lost. After you've executed that line of code, you can't retrieve that value or that number anymore. So what you do is, because you want to retrieve that value, you have to save it within what we call a variable. And anytime you call that variable, what happens is that it churns out what is the value within that variable. So it is not the variable itself that is executed. It is what is inside the value of that variable that is what you call it, executed. Keep that in mind. So there are several symbols that we use to name variables. This is a convention. And like I said, for every language, there are rules that govern that language. In order to be able to speak that language effectively or fluently, you need to understand these rules and go by those rules. So in English, we have the comprehension, the grammar, and all those things. You should know what CAM does, Go does, it's similar to Python programming. If you want to name variables, there are certain things that you have to do. You have to follow a certain convention. And with this convention, it can either begin with an A to Z or lowercase or uppercase. In Python, lowercase a is totally different from uppercase a. You can't confuse the two. That's one thing about Python. So whatever you are doing, make sure you keep that in mind, that capital A and small a in Python is not the same thing. They are two different things altogether. You can't start, you can put in an underscore. So maybe what you want to do is in Python, what we call it the snake case. So what it does is that, for example, if you want to say surname, you can either put it together or you can put it sir and then put the underscore name. That's an example. That is, for surname is one word. So let's choose another word. For example, let's say class number, or which class maybe a student belongs to. You understand? You can just put class and then underscore number. Based on that, you use the snail case. There is also the camel case. However, the camel case is mostly used for functions and all that. We'll go into that as well. So for variables, just go with the snake case. So if you want to put a variable name that has some clarity with it, you just have to use underscore to show that maybe you want to write, I want to get a very good word, like name or something. So something that is capital, revenue margin, for example. So revenue margin, write a revenue, and then you put underscore margin. You understand? So in that way, you are putting two words together to form one variable name. And these can be either lowercase or uppercase. But what I've mostly seen in Python programming, the convention over the years has been lowercase for variable names. And then, you use the uppercase for functions and all that. We will look at that as well. And then, like I mentioned, names are case sensitive. And keywords in Python cannot be used. So there are certain keywords in Python like type, int, and all those things. They are built-in keywords that are used in Python. If you use that, what happens is that it is going to override the 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 keyword within Python. Now, when you want to use that keyword, what is going to churn out is it is going to bring out the variable that you've installed, and it might affect the accuracy of your work. So one thing you need to know is in some IDEs, when you try to type a keyword, the color changes to inform you that this is a keyword that's already existing in Python. So you keep that in mind. And there's no limit to the number of words that you can use for variable names. However, the shorter you keep it, the better for you, to help you from typing too many times. All right, so like I said, the assignment operator, which is mostly used in Python, is the equal to sign. So what this does is that when you give the variable name on the right, whatever you put on the variable name on the left, whatever value you put on the right-hand side becomes the value of that variable. So like I mentioned, for example, if you want to name, what you put on the right-hand side should be a string, because usually names are in the form of strings. Or in some cases, it could be numbers, but that's used in very extreme cases. And also, if you want to give it, for example, age on the left-hand side, age we know is an integer. So you can just put it on the right-hand side of the equal to sign, maybe 33 or maybe 19. So now age is now a variable. That is an integer. Name would have been a variable. That is a string. So based on the value you give the variable, that is the form in which the data type in which the variable takes. It should be noted that whenever the assignment operator is used, the left-hand side becomes the variable name, and the right-hand side holds the value, like I mentioned. And this equal to sign is also used for arithmetic as well. So we would see how that works going forward, and how you can differentiate between the two. So now that we've talked about all of this, now we have to look at some of the arithmetic operations that you can perform on the data types that we have. So mathematical operations are done to transform data from the operand domain to the results domain. So basically, that is what the arithmetic operators that do. In Python, there are operators that work in similar function. So that's what we are going to see going forward. There are some basic operators. These are not the exhaustive list. There could be more, but these are the basic ones that are used the most. We have the addition sign, which is basically the plus. We have the subtraction, the minus. We have multiplication, which is the star. We have division, which is um, the forward slash. We have modulus, which is the percentage sign, and an exponent, which is two of the stars. And in mathematics, we have a law based on how you write your expression. It is executed that way. And the first thing that executes within an expression is if there's anything in brackets, those are the ones that are executed first. Because you've noticed in some cases where there have been arguments about the results of certain expressions, and this is based on how the expressions are written. So in order to remove that ambiguity from there, what Python does is that it's arranged this in rules. Let me check. There is a comment. Oh, okay. Operand domain, then results domain. So basically, the difference is that operand domain is where you are. Let me not go into the core mathematics of it, but just make you understand it simply is that the operand domain is where you are performing an operation. For example, if you have 3 plus 2, you are within the operand domain. But if you hit enter and you have 5, then now you enter the results domain. So that is basically the simplified version of it. It has some technicalities attached, but just to make it simple, this is how you should understand it. Okay, so no, I'm not done. Let me go back. Right. So like I said, in operations in Python, parentheses come first. Whatever it executes, whatever is within a parenthesis first. And then once it's done, the next thing it executes is the exponent. We'll look at it when we are doing the practical session. And I'll show you where some of these things, some of these confusions can come in. If you don't follow these operations, you might get wrong answers. So the next will be multiplication. We have division, addition, and the final one is subtraction. But sometimes division and addition are done the same time. So you don't have to worry about that. Same way multiplication and division are also done similarly in the same, unless there is, no ambiguity. All right, so now we look at the logic operators. So during programming, objects are sometimes compared to achieve certain desirables. For example, if you want to find out, you want to perform a certain operation, but before you can perform that, you want to make sure whether it conforms to a certain value that you are looking for. So what you do is in Python, there are comparing objects, there are comparison of objects in Python. Logical operators are used and they play significant role when it comes to Python programming. So we have the equal to sign, which looks like that. We have the not equal to, less than, greater than, which I'm sure we all know. We have the greater than or equal to and the less than or equal to. So this is how it will look like. We'll quickly look at it when we are working within the practical session. Now let's quickly look at arrays and then we would enter into the practical session. So like I mentioned earlier, arrays are a sequence of numbers. You can have the list data type, which is treated as a sequence earlier, can be made up of elements of any data type. So sequence of numbers, or let's say sequence of data types, because you can have a list of, you can have a list of strings. So yes, I would have to change it from numbers to data type. So just keep in mind that lists can take any data type as their their elements. Hence, for a list, data for a list data type which contains only numbers, okay, only numbers, because earlier we mentioned that lists could contain several data types, but if it contains only numbers, then now we are talking about arrays. Okay, so with arrays, the Python interpreter does not have the array data type built in. Therefore, we have to install a certain module called NumPy. We are going to use NumPy extensively in this programming language because there are no built-in arrays for Python. It only has a list. It becomes challenging performing certain arithmetic operations on a list. So NumPy is the acronym for numerical Python. This module will be used for most parts of the programming, like I mentioned. So there are certain things that we need to understand about how an array is indexed. Elements in sequences in Python start with index 0. So when you are counting from the left, the elements within a certain array, the first element has an index of 0. Python's indexing starts from 0, not 1. It's very important to distinguish that. It's not like Python is not a counting number. It starts from 0. So you have 0, 1, 2 going in that order. All right. The first element has an index of 0, and the last element an index of n-1. So n-1 basically says that if we have 6 elements within an array, then it means that the last element within that array is 5. It's 6 minus 1. If you have 10 elements within an array, there are times that you may have an array that is, you don't know the length. It could be 1,000 long, it could be 886 long, it could be 522, 52. You can't go in there and count it one by one. If you want to pick the last element, so what you do is, if you want to pick the last element, you just pick the entire size of the array, or you just put -1. So -1 basically says that pick the last element. So you notice that on the number line, right? I'm sure we all went through that. We have 0, 1 on the right, -1 on the left. So Python starting from 0 picks 0, 1, 2, 3. But if you want to pick from the last 10, then you're going to start from -1, like we have it on the number line. So if you want the second to last, you use -2. Third to last, you use -3 in that order. So these are some basic understanding you need to get of when it comes to indexing in Python. So there are times that working with a list or an array, you would want to pick a certain portion of that array. Like you want to pick a subset of what you have in there. Maybe you want to pick within that set, you want to pick only the even numbers. Sorry, within that array, you want to pick only the even numbers, okay? Or maybe you want to pick the first 5 numbers, or maybe the last 10 numbers. Depending on what you want to do, you need to slice that array. So that is where basically array slicing comes in. And to slice an array, we use this operator, the colon operator, which we'll be looking at in the practical session. So don't worry about how it works. Once we do the practical session, you'll understand. And for an array slicing, the main rule is you have to indicate, as shown here, you have to indicate the starting point and the end point, because we are dealing with arrays now. So the start, and then you bring the colon and where you want to end. This is how you slice an array. Or in some cases, if you have a multi-dimensional array, because a matrix is a form of an array, but there are some differences. We won't go into that now. We'll talk about it during the practical session. However, multi-dimensional arrays comes in rows and columns. So what you want to do is now you want to take maybe from row 1 to row 3, but then you want it to end at column 2. Okay, say for maybe a 5 by 5 array. Then you have to go by this rule. They should start the starting point of where you want to slice from and the ending point with the colon in between. You bring the comma, and then the next would be the for the column as well. If you leave the column part empty, then it means that you are picking all columns. If you leave the row part empty, it means you are picking all rows. Or you can just put the colon mark to do that. We would work on that during the practical session. So we can perform arithmetic operations on arrays, but not on lists, which I would show you during the practical sessions. The addition character only performs a merging of two arrays with members of the added array from the end of the beginning array. Therefore, there is the need for a library to help you perform certain arithmetic operations. So for example, if you want to multiply an array by a certain number or add a certain value to an array, you can't do it directly. You need a library or a module that can help you do that. And that is where NumPy array comes in. So NumPy, basically, I mentioned earlier, is numerical Python. And this package, I'm going to explain basically how the package works within Python. So package is basically, some people call it libraries, okay? And the reason for that is library has several books within them, okay? So if you want to learn something from a certain, let's say, very basic, primary school, you go to the primary school library, you can only find where the chemistry books are, the math, the science, and all that straight up. You learn them, okay? But if you go into a high-end university library, which are the bigger packages that we'll look at later, there are libraries within libraries. So it's like you have an array you have an object within an object, which we'll talk about within object-oriented programming. I think there's a question. Can we have a list of arrays with a string? Yes, you can have, like I said, you can have arrays with a list of strings. You can have a list that is full of strings, but you can't have an array full of strings. Array is basically mathematics. Numbers. Forgive me for that. So when you say an array, you are talking about a list that has only numbers. So the numbers could be, what do you call it? It could be integers, it could be floating point numbers, or it could be complex numbers. That is what an array is. But if you have strings within them, then that is a list. So that is the difference between the two. So you can have a list of arrays, but you can't have an array full of strings. That's all. All right, I hope that clears it out. So like I mentioned, when it comes to Python programming, the library comes with various methods or objects within that library. So for example, if you want an object within that object will be a book that you are picking within that library. And that book could be maybe science or what you want to do. So for example, if you want to do an addition in NumPy, you pick the sum object. If you want to find the mean of a certain array, you pick .mean, which is the object within that module. So that is something that we are going to look at going forward. So these packages come with several objects within them. And these objects do play specific roles or they perform specific actions. So going forward, we'll look at that during the practical session. So what are strings in Python? So strings are basically, we will look at it, don't worry. So when we are doing the practical session, you will get it. So these are some of the methods that are used within NumPy array. So dtype will give you the data type you are working with. The shape, for example, if you are working an array, if it's a multi-dimensional array, it will give you the shape. There are times that you churn out a certain result from a certain expression and you don't know how it looks. So what you can do is, if you go .shape, it gives you the shape of it. So it will tell you it's a 3x5 matrix, 100x200 matrix, array and all that. And the size is the size is about all the elements within that array. So it is just the 3 by, if it's 3 by 5, then it means that you are doing 3 times 5. So you're going to say you're having 15 elements within the array. So that is what the size does. It gives you the entirety of the number of elements within it. And reshape, sometimes you have an array and you want to reshape it to a certain way you want. That is what you are going to use. That's the method you are going to use. There are zeros. You want to initialize an array that is full of zeros. You want to initialize an array full of ones. You want to find an identity an identity from an array. And there are several ways you can do this. So we'll look at all of that during the practical sessions. And the NumPy array indexing, it is similar to what we did with lists. However, you have the conventional of a multidimensional array indexing in NumPy. The row comes first and then the column. So if you want to find a certain point within an array, you want to find the value within a certain index, you just put the index number there, the index value, sorry, there, and then you're going to have the results churning up for you. We will do all of that in the practical session. I believe with that you can appreciate most of the things I'm talking about. And similar, if you want to do the slicing, you have the start, colon, and then the end. However, there are times that you want to choose some other things. For example, you want to choose it, maybe I want to pick only the values that are at the, what do you call it, the say the even indexed values, elements. You have to put a step there. So for example, if you want even index values, you start from somewhere to the end, and then you tell it, so you can use 2. 2 means that it will be skipping every now and then, every first element. And there's also the step, which is what we are going to look at. And similarly, like I said, if you have a multi-dimensional array, this is how you are going to work on it. We will quickly go into that part. And the arithmetic, like I mentioned, you have the addition, subtraction, multiplication, the dot products, the transpose, and all that, which we will look at. And finally, we are into the interactive session. That is where the practical session starts. So at this point, I would entreat all of us. Do we all have Jupyter Notebook installed? Do we have Notebook installed?
Yes, please.
No,
okay,
please.
so now we go back to working on
The
it.
VS Code people, because you just mentioned we haven't installed yet.
So what I'll do is, in order not to make the class a bit more rowdy, if you have a question, I would suggest you lift your hand so I call you, and then you answer you ask your question, okay? If that's okay with the class. No, I think, don't you have, let's look at them. Odro, right? Don't you have Jupyter installed? I would suggest you use Jupyter Notebook. The reason for that is I don't want to be debugging errors within Spider and then debugging errors within Jupyter and then doing the same for Visual Studio. That's why I want us to all use a uniform platform. But later on your own, you can use the whichever ID you think works for you best. Okay. So my friends with the MacBook, are we here?
Yes.
Good. I remember you were having some challenges, so we'll deal with all of that briefly. So for those using Mac, I would suggest you go into your terminals. For those using Windows, go into your command prompts. As you can see on the screen, you just run your command prompts. All those using Windows, go into your command prompt. For those using, so now you just type Jupyter notebook like this. And you hit enter. It should be fine. For those using Mac, I would share the command with you within the, give me a sec. Let me share the command with you within the chat box. Give me a moment. For those using Anaconda, just run your Anaconda and open Jupyter Notebook within Anaconda. That should be fine.
Yeah,
Okay,
yes, sir. I am doing it, but it asks that I should open with another kind of app.
Who is talking, please? Is it possible you can lift your hand so I can be clear?
Sorry. Let me do that.
All right, thank you.
Oh, where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Sorry, let me rather react.
Okay, you're already here, so let's go ahead. What is your challenge?
Yeah, so when I try launching the Jupyter Notebook from Anaconda, it asks that I should open with something. So it's like opening with another kind of like app.
Yes. A notebook, what Jupyter does is it opens within a browser for you. So you can choose Chrome, Edge, Firefox, whichever browser you feel is best.
Okay, sure.
You just open it from there. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, no problem. Okay, so now we are going to go through the installation process briefly for those that. Rebecca, your hand is up. Okay, Rebecca. Rebecca, can you hear me? So if you run the command prompt, Jupyter Notebook, like I did here, this is the command. All right, you should see something like this. Then we start working from here. So before we go into that, let me quickly bring everyone else up to speed. So for those that couldn't install Jupyter last time, if you are in Windows, okay, you type command prompt within the search, and you see something like this. Then you just open it. So when you open it, you have to first of all check if you have Python installed. Okay. If I'm going too fast, let me know so I slow down. So basically, you type Python here, and if you see anything in this form, then it means that you have Python installed. But if you don't see this and you see command not found or any other error message, it means you don't have Python installed. Okay, so once you have ascertained that you have Python installed, you exit. You hit enter. You should always see this. Anytime you see this, it means that you are back into the console. Okay, but if you don't see this, it means you are in another environment. Keep that in mind. Then now you type pip install Jupyter. For those that don't have Jupyter installed, you type this. I'll share it in the chat box for everybody to try it. So those that do not have Jupyter installed, pay attention. If you've already installed Jupyter, you don't need to go through this. And for those that are using Mac, if you don't have Jupyter installed, if you want to test for Mac users, let me put, you first of all type Python 3 to check if you have Python installed. Once it's installed, you exit. And when you exit, if you want to check if your Jupyter Notebook is working, right, there is a command that you are supposed to type. Let me quickly share that command with you. Because you're having challenges with the path and trying to rectify that is going to be a problem, try and exit this in Python. Once you have Python in there, you exit, and then now you run this command prompt, okay? to run Jupyter.
Sir,
Yeah.
please, with
Irene.
my yes,
Okay.
with my how do I go back to the main distance where I'll find the name of my machine? Control plus
Yeah.
what?
Then you can do Control C, but I suggest you always do exit. I've typed it in the chat. Check exit
Okay.
with the opening and closing brackets.
Okay.
So you exit Python and then you go back to the console. Okay. All right. Any other question before we go into? All right. So let me quickly. We have Rebecca. Rebecca, what's your question?
I don't know if I can share my screen because I don't
Okay,
know
we are
what
going
is
to
happening to
we
my.
are quickly going to do this for 5 minutes and then we do that. So you can share your screen. I'll stop sharing now and then you share yours.
Please see, when I did the command, this is what
Exactly. This is what you are supposed to get. And then what did you do next?
he said I should type the pip.
I said check first if you have Python installed. I think we did it last time. So now all you have to do now is type Jupyter Notebook. It's within the chat. That's all. So type this. I've shared it with you. Yes, Otis, you are good.
Please look at what is showing.
You already have another console running. How many command prompts do you have running? Okay, so you have 2 running. Okay, so then maybe there's a problem with your Jupyter Notebook. Just run it again. Run the command here. Pip install Jupyter Notebook. Jupyter, sorry. Let me give that to you again. Yeah, Irene.
Please, it's saying resuming operation after exiting. It says resume. Jupyter is running resuming operation.
Can you share your screen in the chat for me to work on it?
Okay.
Eugene, quickly. I saw Eugene.
Yeah. I was asking that I already have Anaconda. Is it necessary to also do the installation like this through the command prompt?
No. I said with Anaconda, just go into Anaconda and then put whatever it is that you want to. If you go into Anaconda,
so I mean, in case I don't,
run.
in case I don't want to operate through the Anaconda and I want to do that from Python.
It's the same thing, but if you install Jupyter Notebook whilst you have Anaconda running, sometimes there are conflicts within packages. That's why it would be better to just focus on one.
Okay,
Because the way
sure.
Anaconda installs what do you call it? Packages, it has
Jupyter.
its own package manager called Conda. And Python
Yeah.
has its own called pip. So if you try running the two, what happens is that there's always a conflict sometimes. So it's better to just focus on one for now.
Okay, sure. Thank you.
All right. So now if you have any questions,
Okay,
just
sir, please look at mine.
Yes. So you have Jupyter installed. No.
Okay.
What did you type? Pip install Jupyter. The spelling is wrong. Jupyter has a Y in it.
Please, I've shared the picture with you on the chat.
On the chat, okay.
Please, I didn't. This is.
Yeah, you already have Jupyter installed.
Okay.
So just type Jupyter Notebook and let me see. Yes, Mario, you are good. So just type Jupyter Notebook, that's all.
Please, my.
Who else? Put your information within the chat. Let me see, Irene. I'm trying to check your image is shared. Hey, Irene, you're already in the Jupyter Notebook. I don't know. You don't have to go anywhere else.
No, but I want to, how I would do to go back to the main where I'll find the machine name with the something before it to give me back to the browser.
So why do you want to do that?
I thought maybe
You already have it's open, so just open it. When you are done with the class, we'll close it. I don't know why you want to close it. Okay, if you want to close it, just type Control C and it should close it for you.
okay, then it go back to the browser one.
Yes, you have to close everything in the browser. The browser is just an interface. You need to run Jupyter within the command prompt before you can have it work. If not, it's not going to work.
So I want to, what I'm saying is that now the one that I've just showed you, so everything that you do it here, right?
No, we are not going to do it here. We are going to do it in the browser. But if you want to initialize the notebook, you have to do it here. So here is just for the initialization.
And
but
so
then everywhere we are doing it in the browser.
in the afternoon, when he taught me after everything, then it took me back straight. It opened in the browser, but now I cannot open it in the browser.
So what we are going to do is, you see where there is an HTTPS localhost, HTTP localhost, what?
Yes.
You see, or copy, yes. So just copy that whole line where it ends at 5B, all the ways to HTTP, and then put that in the browser and run it. It should open for you.
All the way through the 5B, 8185B.
Yes. Just
Okay.
that line. It shouldn't go beyond that line.
Okay.
Then paste it in the browser. It should work for you.
All right.
All right. Rebecca. I really wanted us to avoid this today.
Oh, please look. I don't know if
I don't know what is happening to your Jupyter. So what we are going to do is, today you might have to follow the class, and then after that you will see. I don't know if there's a problem with your machine. I don't know. To be honest, I don't know what is going on, because it's saying there's
okay.
a certain module is not installed, and I don't know why you should have that error. Maybe the version of Python you are running is maybe old or something. Type Python. Let me see. Run Python. Let me see what happens. You have Python 14 here, so exit. Now I think you should let's just install the type pip install space distutils
EI
distutils. Run it. Let me see what happens. Okay, so whilst we are waiting for yours to work, Milda, are you good? Mida, are you good?
No, I'm not.
What is
So
the
I
challenge?
after typing the command prompt to check if you have Jupyter Notebook, what should we expect? Because what I have here is I don't know. Can I share my screen?
There is a browser opened, right?
No.
Okay, quickly share your screen.
Okay. I think the host has to allow me.
No, somebody might be sharing their screen, so you just have to. Can you put a picture in the chat box so I can see that for you?
Okay.
All right.
Mm.
Yeah, I can see this.
Okay.
So you can exit. Yep, hit enter. Now I said for those using Python, type for those using Mac, type Python 3. Yes, this is what you typed.
Yeah. And this is what I get.
Well, I think we did it. I did it for someone and it worked with the. And nothing opens in the browser for you.
No.
Okay, so let me give you a quick command for. Do you have Jupyter installed?
Yes.
Exit.
I did.
So you exit,
I did.
exit, exit, and then type Python 3. Oh, sorry, pip3, pip3. Sorry, space
Hey.
install Jupyter, space Jupyter. Yeah. So you have it installed. So I don't know why Jupyter Notebook is not working for you. Okay, so I'm going to give you a command, right?
Okay.
Put that command within the code and then run it, and let's see what happens. So I'll share it with you in the chat. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Hey. Me.
And then what time for you?
It's you see in the afternoon we there should be where I can get the name. Let's say it comes with the initial terminal when you open the initial terminal.
And
So this one, I can if I type, it give me big numbers. Like if I'm typing in words, let's say H, it doesn't come like the normal one in the afternoon we opened because
you
already
have
when you
increased you have increased the font size. There's nothing wrong with that.
no, I have to change it. How do I change it?
You should either do Control minus on your keyboard. All right. So now I think we should be good now. The last person I have is Esther. Esther, what is your challenge?
Hello, please, can you hear me?
I can hear you, Esther.
So on Monday I downloaded the Python, right? And then it didn't come when I tried it on the command prompter, it didn't show, nothing showed up.
Did you install after downloading?
Yeah, I think so.
You should know whether you installed it or not. Thinking so doesn't. So if you type Python within your command prompt, are you using a MacBook or a Windows machine?
A Windows machine.
So you type Python within the command prompt, what happens?
Nothing up. It like nothing comes. So
That's interesting. Something should happen. If nothing happens, then I don't know. At least it should give you an error.
can I share my screen?
Yes, please share your screen. Class, pardon me for today. Let's just make sure we rectify some of these things. Then, going forward, we can quickly work on.
And please, can you
Okay.
see it?
Now I can see your screen. You don't have Python installed. So go to python.org.
I did it
Download.
too.
No, python.org. Yes, hit enter.
This is
Yes. So go to downloads. You see downloads? No. Go up.
This one.
Go up. There's Python. There's downloads there. Just click on the downloads. No, there's downloads. I can see downloads up there.
Right.
Come down.
This.
Yes, and go to Windows. Yes, click on that one. Now download the stable release. The first one you see is Windows installer. Download that one.
Please come again. This one.
Yes, that one. Yes, allow. You can block it. Trying to download it twice. It doesn't matter. So So now run this. Click on the download button at the top there and then run it.
This.
No. Click on the download button besides the address bar at the top where there's an E on your Chrome. Go up on the right hand side. Yes, that one. Click on this. Now run it. So you can go to modify.
Gosh, I didn't just.
So after that, my screen is so that I can see it because it's
So what we are going to do is I will hold you. You guys will have to hold on, and then I will go to. We'll finish the class, and then you guys stay for me to work on that for you. We can't spend all the time solving your problems.
Okay.
That's okay. Then after the class, I'll have time to quickly solve your problems for you. All right. So whilst you are doing this,
you're not going to use anything on it.
Yeah.
All right. So let me see. There's another image in the chat. I think you are good. Whoever shared the screenshot, you are good. Just type Jupyter Notebook. That's all. Who is this? Solomon, you are good. Just type Jupyter Notebook. You should have it.
You're going out.
Yes, Tyra, you are good. Just type Jupyter Notebook and you should have the result. Once this is done, okay?
Everybody has to. You don't come again.
What do you want? It depends on what you want.
Morel, I think you are good. Where is Morel again?
Someone doesn't come.
Morel, are you using a what do you call it? Are you using a MacBook or Word? Sorry, Windows.
Or which side are you taking?
So Esther, click on Add Python to Path. You see Add Python to environmental variables.
This
like the one of the
click on yes, then install.
I know one, but maybe I'm more common.
So that's all.
Yeah, that's all. So close it. Now go back to your command prompt. Now exit. Then pip install Jupyter.
What? Okay.
No, pip, just type pip space install Jupyter. Jupyter. All right, then hit enter. So now you'd have to wait. So everything else should work. It should run for you. It will take some time. So you can stop sharing and I'll quickly start sharing my screen.
Okay.
So when this is done, just type Jupyter Notebook and it would open in a browser for you.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. So any other challenge, I think we'll just wait till after the class, okay? All right. So let's do that after the class. Now, Esther, could you kindly stop sharing?
Okay.
Okay. So if you can see my screen, you let me know. Then we quickly go into the class for today. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Awesome. Since you can see my screen, we are going to go over everything again. So let me see the chat. There are no, let's see if there are questions. Yeah, we have, most of you have it sorted.
No.
You don't need to have a problem.
No. Like this interface, I'm not getting interface. Yes.
No, if you are not getting this interface, don't worry. After the class, you will solve the problems, okay?
Okay.
So those that are here, just pay attention to the process. Don't worry too much. So every day we are going to go through the process, so you get a hang of it. Okay, if you get the first time, don't be worried. So you go to desktop. That's why I recommend you save your files.
I didn't actually check the rate. He just texted me and then I was like, let me ask.
Can you mute yourself, please, James?
Yes.
Smarty. Thank you very much. If you want to speak, just lift your hand so I give you the floor, okay? All right, so you go to desktop. Yeah, that's what I recommend. If you don't have desktop, you can go to documents, whichever one works for you, okay? You double click on it, and then you create a new folder, okay? So not upload. So let's say you create a new, you go to new here, and then you go to folder. If you did this on Monday, you don't need to do it again. So once, let me see, where is the new folder? It's supposed to give me a new folder, yeah. Oh, maybe it's logged me out. I have to go log in again. So let me go start the whole process again. Give me a moment. All right. So the first thing you do after you have Jupyter installed is just type Jupyter Notebook. Yeah. And hit enter. It's going to open the notebook for you. Okay. So most of us should have this interface. If you don't have this, don't worry. After the class, I will take you all through it again. Let me see. Are there any questions? Yeah, if you have any challenge with the Jupyter, don't worry. After the class, we'll look at it. So you double click on desktop or documents based on where you want to save your file. Then you go to new, open new folder. There should be a pop-up here for you to create a new folder. That is it here. So you edit this. You can change the name. Desktop. You can rename it to what you want. I don't know why it didn't pop up for me to rename it. However, it's fine. Just name it Python 2026 on your desktop, and then everything we do will be in there. So now we are going to create a new file, a new notebook, okay? You click on notebook, and then it opens a new tab on the browser for you where your notebook is going to be. Must you all use Chrome? No. Any browser works. Edge. Okay. I think your question has been answered. All right. So what we are going to do is you change this to, today we are working with data types. So we just call it data types.
Please, I think you are going a bit fast.
Okay. We rename it to data types. Then we are going to start. So for starters, what are the data types that are available? We have integers, we have floating point numbers, we have strings, and then we have the Boolean, which is the true or false, and we have complex numbers. So we are going to look at all these. So if there's, like I said, there are several inbuilt commands Python that helps you to do some of these things. One of it is type, like this. So you want to put it here. For example, we want to see what type this number 5 is, right? Let's run this and see what happens. You see, it tells us that number 5 is an integer. Okay,
Yes.
so this is a way to verify the data type you are working with. Let's take another one. I'll share this with you after the class, so don't worry, just follow what I'm doing now. And after the class, I'll share this with you so you play around with it yourself. Now let's try a string. And for a string, I remember someone mentioned a string. So if you want to have a string, basically this is how you initialize a string. You either put them in double quotes or single quotes. So if you have anything, it could be numbers, it could be words, it could be anything, right? So if you have, let's say type, and I put double quotes like that, and I say hello, okay? And I close this. One thing you should understand in programming is make sure anytime you open anything, you should have an end of it. So if you open a bracket, there should always be a closing bracket. If you open a quote, there should always be a closing quote, and they have to match, okay? So we would see one or two things soon. So you see, it tells us a string. See what happens if we try the same thing, okay? Here, let's say I forgot this closing one, and I run this. It's going to tell me there's an error. Similarly, if I forget this, one of the quotes, and I run this, it's still going to give me there's an error. You see, so always make sure you have the quotes. And if I put this here, you notice that this is a double quote and this is a single quote. It's going to give me an error. So the quotes have to be the same. So a double to a double. Okay. And if you put square brackets here, it's not going to be the same thing. It's going to give you an error all the time. So keep that in mind. For every opening you make, there should be a closing part of it. If it's a bracket, there should be a closing bracket. If it's a quote, a single quote, there should be a single quote closing it. So this is basically what we want to do. We run this, and voila, you have this. We can also try something else. Watch this. See what happens. Okay. When I do this, you see we have an integer 5 within quotes, right? If I run this, what happens? It tells me it's a string. So regardless of what you put within the quotes, it becomes a string. It is no longer an executable number. Keep that in mind. Let me check. There are some questions. No, we've already talked about that. Okay. You not see notebook. Yes, if you see IPython kernel, it's all right. It's the same as notebook. Don't worry. That's good. Okay. I've noticed that some students are helping out. Thank you very much, Elom, for that. So for those that understand, if you find a question within the chat and you feel you are capable of answering, go ahead and answer. Like I said, you have to be resourceful. Helping other people helps you grow on your programming journey. So it's very, very important. So we are a huge community. We learn from each other. There are certain things that I might even learn from you, even though I have some experience. Because I mentioned that you need to keep an open mind. You don't know where you're going to learn something from. Okay, sometimes it might even be a kid that is going to teach you something that has been racking your brain for years. So always keep that in mind. So yes, you can either use a single quote. So for example, I can change this to, like I said, you can use a single quote or a double quote for a string. Okay. If I run this, it will tell me it's a string. The reason why it is always good to use double quotes is that sometimes you want to put a string within a string. Okay. So for example, I want to write maybe, let me do it this way. Maybe you want to be sarcastic, right? And you say something like this, right? See what happens. Maybe you're trying to be sarcastic, say, hello, genius, something like that during your normal conversations, right? You put this there. Let me run this and see what happens. It's a string, okay? It's still a string, but let me print this out. I really like to copy and paste to avoid errors. It's very important because if you want to type everything, you might make mistakes. So in Python, I always suggest that you have to copy and paste. Even though it makes you a bit lazy, it works. So see what happens. You see now it brings it out that hello, genius, where genius are still in quotes. Do you get the difference? So it is always good to have the double quotes being the external ones, starting the string, so that if you want to put a single quote within, it makes it easier. Now we are going to try something else, okay? Let's start with single quotes. There are quotes within, and then another quote. And let's run this and see what happens. You see the difference? It gives you an error. Similarly, if you do the same thing for the double quotes, you are going to have an error. All right, we run this. You see you have an error. So it is always good to start with the double quotes on the externals, on the edges, to start the string. Then inside, you have the room to put in all the quotes that you want. I hope that is clear.
So, say.
Yeah, if you want to speak, kindly lift your hand so that we can have,
I think my hand button is not showing. That's why I.
Okay, sure, go ahead.
So if I understand clearly, it means that in a strings, you always have to put it in a quote. So if the main string, let's say the hello, have the main the double quote, then any other sub string list that you put under the this thing should be in a single quote.
Yes, precisely that.
Okay.
Because when you put in double quotes, what it sees is that it has ended. Like I said, there's a beginning and there's an end. So if I make this a double quote, what Python sees is that, oh, then the string has ended. You get a difference. Because this is the opening and the next available one is the closing, regardless of where you put it. So these are some of the things you need to pay attention to. All right, Esther, your hand is up. Esther. Let's wait for Esther.
Hello.
Yeah,
Please,
okay,
it's
Esther.
a mistake. It's a mistake. It's a mistake.
All right, Gabriel, your hand was up.
Yes, sir. Please, I saw that you used an exclamation mark in the Hello Genius code. I would like to know, does the exclamation mark play any important role in coding? Let's say if I'm coding and I miss it, will I get an error? I would like you to explain a little bit on that for me, please.
Okay, so when it comes to the not, I would explain it. Just like, if anything you put within a string becomes a string, regardless of what you see, besides the quotes, there are some special characters as well that you can use to format a string. We'll look at that later. If I go into that now, it'll be a bit more confusing. But just keep in mind that basically, anything you put within these quotes becomes a string. Okay. This exclamation sign has something that it does. But the moment you put it within a string, it no longer becomes an exclamation, it becomes like a normal string that is going to churn out. It's not going to execute anything. Okay. For example, if I put 5 here, say like I say 5, within this, 5 is no longer an integer here.
The string.
This 5 is now a string. So if I want to multiply this 5, it will multiply as a string, not as an integer. So these are some of the few things that you need to know about strings. Okay, we are spending too much time on this. Let's quickly go into the others. I think some hand is up. Otis, and then Otis. Let me hear you quickly. Otis, are you there?
Can you hear me?
Right, let's wait for Otis.
Hello.
Yeah, hello.
Hello, sir. So my problem was like during the time we renamed the folder into Python 2026. From there, I didn't hear what next. I heard that you said file. So I wanted you to help me. I sent the image in the chat that can you help me get to the where we are, like the workspace, so that I can run.
You just come here, and then you pick notebook, the one at the top. It could either be notebook or you can see Python icon. Choose that one. That's all. And then you open a new what do you call it? A new tab in the browser for you.
Yeah, I
and
see. Like when I click that file, I see all notebooks running and fast.
Yeah, so that's how it's going to be. So you have to work with that. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So then now let's check for the other types. So we have this. You remember I said that if you keep certain things within, what do you call it? Within square brackets, it becomes a list. So we can have 1, 2, 3, and then 4. As long as they are within square brackets, it's a list. So we would see if you run this. Oh, not types, type, sorry. So you run this, and it tells you it's a list. Similarly, this. So it's very good practice that anytime you click an opening one, click a close one, so that you can work within them, so that you don't forget, especially if you are running very long lines of code. It is very, very important. So we can try strings. You can say hello. You can say John. And any other thing. You run this, it is still going to tell you that it's a list. You get it? Now, if we try changing this to normal brackets, right? See what happens. You run this, it tells you it's a tuple. And the difference between a list and the tuple is that for a tuple, it's immutable. You can't make changes. Once you initialize it, you can never make changes to it. So that is one thing about tuple. It's immutable. You can't do anything to it. But for list, you can make changes to them whilst you are working. You get it? But once you are working within the T, you would get to see more of it and appreciate it. All right. So kindly help yourselves within the chat where you're having challenges. I appreciate that a lot, so I can focus on going on with the class. So we've seen, now let's look at the dictionary. So we want to see type. If you bring curly brackets, now you're working with dictionaries, and dictionary comes with key and value. So for example, if you want to save certain variables with a value, for example, you want to save the database of a student, you can have the name here, and you give a colon, and the name can be, sorry, I have to put everything within the braces. Pardon me. Put it here like that. And the name is maybe John, right? Then you want to add his or her age. Sorry, his age, sorry. put it here, age, okay? Then you bring the colon, and the age can be 23. So what happens is if you run this, it tells you it's a dictionary. So this is how you get to know what you are working with. So you notice that if we do, for example, you are working on some arithmetic, you do some very complex one. Let's use a very simple one, 1 + 5, okay? And you run this. Maybe you want, maybe you are marketing, you are in the market, you are buying certain things, and you realize that, oh, you bought 5 and it wasn't enough. So you want to add 1 more. And then you buy this. Now you have 6. In the next line, there's no way, okay, you can get this 6 back. However, let's put this 6 that we have here, okay, into a variable. So that anytime we want this 6, we can call it. So that would be an example. Let's say I do this dictionary, okay? I run it here. That is it. I can't use it. I can't call this back. But let's see what happens. Let's call it student details. Okay, and give it the same thing. Then we run this. You see, nothing happens. Now, anytime you run, you call this variable name here, okay, and you run it. What happens is it gives you the value within it. Okay, so this is the variable, and the way you notice I initialize the variable, the naming, it follows a certain convention. I could add numbers, but the number should not be the first thing that you start with. The number could be anywhere in between, but not the first. Okay, so this is how you do it. All right, I can see Esther, your hand is up. Esther. Okay, whilst we wait for Esther, Morel, your hand is up.
Yeah, I wanted to ask, what's the reason for always typing like type before you put the brackets?
Oh, okay. The type, like I mentioned earlier, is an inbuilt function in Python. It tells you what the data you have typed in there is. Maybe you are working and you have several variables. You don't know what is inside that variable, okay? But you want to use it. So if you ask, what do you call it, Python, what type of variable am I working with? It gives you this. So for example, now you don't know the data type that is stored within student details. You want to find out, okay? So you go type into brackets, student details. Let's copy this. You put it in here. When you run this, what happens is that it tells you that it's a dictionary. So now you know the data type that is stored within student details. Okay, let's start with other data types. So we have name. Okay, and let's give it's a string basically. So we say name is maybe Kwame. All right. We save it. Let me just do this. And then Kwame's age is, say, 13. We can say height.
5.
5, okay. And then maybe occupation. You can put it as maybe student. So you put this there, student. All right. So we run this. So sometimes when you are working, you may have several of these variables there. And you want to find out what is within that variable. So what you do is if you bring type here, okay, and you ask Python, what type of variable, what type of data is within name? Okay, what it does is that it will tell you it's a string. Okay, so that you know that you are dealing with a string, because certain operations don't work on strings. That way you know how you are going to program your work. Now let's look at age. So let's say height, we can say 5.4, so that we have a string. Yeah, we have a floating point number. That's a lot better. Now age, what happens? We run age. It tells you age is an integer because it is not a decimal. It doesn't have any decimal points or numbers attached to it. Now, similarly, the same 13, let's put 13.0, okay, and run this. And then let's ask Python what type of data it is. It will tell you it's a floating point number. So when you bring dots, and notice how age is changing. The data type within this variable is changing based on how we assign the value to it. You understand? So for example, if I remove this 0.0 and I run it and I come back to age, see what happens. It tells me it's an integer. So now you can see that this age now, which is a variable, is changing with which values I'm assigning to it. So keep that in mind. That is one of the things that causes a lot of bugs in Python, because you might use this age in several places, forgetting that once you use it in a different place, the value now, the data type now changes to a different thing. So it's very important you understand this. Python is very dynamic when it comes to data types and how it's assigned to variables. Now, we look at height. Let's look at height. We run height. It tells you height is a floating point number. And then occupation, obviously, is going to tell you it is what? A string. That's it. So now we have seen all the data types. We've seen float point numbers, you've seen integers, you've seen strings, we've seen arrays, lists. So we have several types of lists that we are working with. Okay, so a quick one. For those using Windows, go back to your command prompt. For those using Windows, so let's go back to our command prompt. Open a new command prompt, because this one is already running notebook, so you can't do anything here. Okay, so you have to not use this. So once you see something like this, then you know that you are within the prompt of the console. Okay, what we are going to do now is we are going to install NumPy, because we will need NumPy. And this is what you do. You type pip install NumPy. So this is for Windows users, okay? Hit enter. I already have it installed, so it's probably going to tell me that NumPy is already installed. So each and every one of you should do this. I'll share this in the chat. For those that don't have NumPy installed, all right? So let me go quickly to the chat. And I can see there are quite a number of issues resolved. Okay, good. Oh, you just started Python coding and you want to hack NASA. All right. So I'm loving the way you are helping each other within the chat. Keep it up. I'm quite impressed. Very good job, everyone, for those helping. If there are any challenges that are not able to be solved within the chat, I'll look at it after the class, so we don't spend most time on, what we are doing now.
Please, like me.
Yes, we'll do it after the class.
Yeah,
Don't
please.
worry.
Yeah, hello. So, those of us using Anaconda, how do we get the NumPy?
Okay, so within Anaconda, right, go into your Jupyter notebook. Okay, I think we can even do the installation within Jupyter. Very good. Let's do that instead. So those using Anaconda, okay, your command is this. within, you can run it here. You can run it within the Jupyter notebook.
Hello, sir. Please, I didn't get you. Please come again.
So I've shared the command within the chat. And then for those running from the command prompt, this is your command. And for those using MacBook, this is going to be your command. I can see it's showing it's your internet. Run the same command again. This is for Mac users within the terminal. For Mac users, this command you're supposed to run within the terminal. For Windows users, you run this within the command prompt. And for Anaconda, sometimes it can worry. So what I would suggest you do is run this command here. Like you can run it here within the Jupyter notebook. Run it and let me see if it works. Okay?
Okay, all right. Okay.
And give me your feedback. All right. So we go back. Now that we are waiting, you guys can leave it to run whilst we do this. All right. So now we are going to initialize variables that we want to give. So for example, we want to call it list of, underscore list of integers. This is a name you are giving to. So the name you give to a variable should be something that would identify the variable. It's very, very important. You can, if you give a variable name A or B or C, ACC or ABB or whatever, after a long time, if you come back to the code, you might not necessarily remember the name you gave to it. So in my opinion, you can give it any variable name you want. But in my opinion, it's very important that you always give it a name that when you come back to the code, you can always remember. So for mine, I'm going to call it list of integers. Then inside, I'm going to write 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. You can choose not to leave the space. It's fine. It's not going to cause any error. But for aesthetic beauty, I like to, leave spaces and all that just to, make it look very nice. You can choose not to leave space here. It would work. Absolutely fine. But for me, I just do this to make it beautiful. That's all. So don't be too caught up on this. Okay. There's Evans. Evans, your hand is up.
Hello,
Evans.
sir.
Yeah, sure. Evans, call me Johnson, okay?
Okay,
The
Sir
sister,
John.
no, it makes me feel like I'm quite old, but
I didn't quite catch you on the command prompt for the installation of the NumPy.
okay, so it's in the chat.
Okay.
Open a new command prompt and then go into the
Install
chat. You should
NumPy.
see the command there.
Okay. Okay.
All right,
Thank you.
there was another hand up. Whose hand was up again? Let me view. There was Otis, yes. Otis, your hand was up. And then next will be Pupulampu, I think, yeah. Okay, I would find out about that. We are going to do all of this soon. Okay, so Otis, let's hear you.
Yeah, so I sent it in the chat box that inbox that.
Okay, we'll work on it soon.
My
And then the
after
next
I
person is
stop people start.
Pupulampu. Okay,
Yeah.
okay, I'll deal with it. Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to say that when I give the command prompt in the notebook for the Anaconda, nothing happens.
Okay, so maybe you might have to bring an exclamation sign. I'm not conversant with that. So this is what we do. Like I said, you don't have to know anything, but you have to know where to find everything, right? So let's go into Google, of course, or you can choose Gemini to make things more interesting, then you just say install NumPy in Anaconda, right?
So, hello. Yeah, I think now
Yeah.
something came up that has run. I don't know if
It
I
is
should share the
running.
screen. Yeah,
It
if
is
I should
running, right?
share the screen. Yeah, should I share the screen?
Yes, give me a moment. So sometimes when you face any challenge, all you have to do is just go to Google, type it. Simple as that. You see what it has here. It's the same thing. Conda install NumPy. Okay, so if you're having challenges, you can just install it within the Jupyter Notebook. Okay, so within the Jupyter Notebook, you would have to do it this way. You have to give it you have to give it the exclamation sign before you install. Okay, so that is the only difference. So for those that are having challenges, if you come to the notebook, okay, let me create a new cell. You just put Conda, install NumPy, or you can do for this. What will happen is there is going to be a lot of pop-ups for you to write yes, yes, yes. So you just put double, hyphen yes, and then I think let me get it right again. The command has to be correct. I don't use Anaconda, so you have to forgive me. Yes, so yes comes before the NumPy. Good. So that's what we are going to do. So then within you bring the NumPy to the end. Yeah, so like that. Then you run it. It should work for you. Or you can choose to just use pip to do the installation instead, like that. It should work for you. Those are for Anaconda users, okay? All right. So now let's go. There are some questions in the chat. Okay. Okay, pip install worked for some people. So yes. So just do pip install and you should be good to go. Yeah, and anytime you see an update, just ignore it. It's fine. It doesn't. Pip updates comes all the time. Even if you update it now, tomorrow you are still going to see it again. So no need for you to do that. All right. So now we have this. So we have a list. And basically when we run this, what we have done is that we have created a list. And like I mentioned earlier, if you want to see what type of data is installed within this, within this variable that we just initialized, right? It is going to tell you that it is a list. Now, we mentioned slicing within list. And I said that you can choose to pick certain, elements within a list, okay, based on the calculation you are doing. So for example, I said this one has index 0, this one has index 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, right? But don't forget, this one also has index -1. This one is -2, -3, -4. So if you are starting from the right-hand side of the list, like the end of the list, it's a negative. And it doesn't start from 0, it starts from 1. So there are times that you have a very huge list. You want to pick the last element. You don't know the length or the size of the list. Just use negative, and it makes it easier for you. So now we are going to do some arithmetic. We did slicing. Let's look at something, okay? Let's perform some arithmetic operations on this list. Okay, let's say we want to see what happens when we multiply this list by 2. Okay, so what we can do is we call this. I'm just showing you what happens when we call this. It will just provide the values within it. So this is just something that is a placeholder for this. So anytime you see this variable name, it's just a name. But the arithmetic operations that is performed on this. Keep that in mind. This is just an identifier. It is not for operations. Okay. What we operate on is what is within this identifier called the variable. Okay. So now let's multiply this identifier by 2, this variable by 2, all right? And let's run it and see what happens. What do you think happened? What were we expecting? I'm sure most of you are expecting to see 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 in that order. But what it did is that it just concatenated it, doubled it. If you do by 3, it will just add 1 more to it. That's what it's going to do. It's going to be doing for you. But this is not what you want. So that is where NumPy comes in. We'll go there very soon. Now, if you notice that if you want to subtract something from it, just an example, right? See what happens. Tell you it's not possible. You can't do that. So you need to have the list within a list. Okay, so if that's the case, let's try running the list minus this. So my expectations would be that you would have 0, 0, 0 or something, right? Let's see what happens. It doesn't work. So you notice that you can't perform certain operations on the list anymore. You can't do this. But on a very good day, you should be able to do it for other, what do you call it? Like for when you're in matrices and all that, you should be able to perform some operations, like a matrix by, a scalar and all that. But it is not inbuilt within Python. So you have to install a library that does that for you. And that is why we installed NumPy. Okay, now we understand how this works, okay? Let me see if there are any challenges within the I can see that you are helping each other. That is very commendable. Thank you all so much. Thank you all so much. All right. So Popolampo, your hand is up.
Yeah. So when I installed the NumPy in the Jupyter notebook, I'm asked to update. They say you may need to restart the kernel to use update packages.
Okay. So then all you have to do is just close this browser and then go back to your file inside and run it again. That's all. Do you understand?
Please come again.
You just close this within the browser, go back to your home page, and then run the Python notebook again. That's all. It should refresh for you.
Okay.
All right. So now that we have this understanding, let's do, for example, I want to get only 1 here. Okay. Now, what is the index of 1? Index of 1 here. Who can tell me what the index of 1 is? Put it in the chat. We're going to have a lot of conversation. Oh, our time is almost up, guys. Yes, Caleb says 0. Awesome, 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 awesome. Yes, so the index of 1 is 0. So if I put 0 in here, see what happens when I run this. It pulls out 1 for me. Okay, what if I want 3? The index will be 2, right? Because we have 0, 1, 2. So if I put 2 here, you notice that it would pull out 3 for me, like I want. And what I said earlier, if you want the negative, right? You want the last one. We say, pull out -1 for me. Let me see what happens. You see, it pulls out 9 for you. You want 8. You can pull out, say, pull out -2 for me. What happens? It pulls out 8 for you. So this is the understanding that you need to know. The indexing of Python is very important. It's going to help you a lot going forward with your programming. Now, what do I want? I want to pick from 1 to 4 and forget about 5, 6, 9, 6 to 9, okay? So what I do now is I say, I like to copy the variable name so I don't type it wrongly. And it's something that I would advise you all do when you're working in programming so you don't make mistakes. Now I want to pick from 1 to 5, okay? So what I do now is I have to state my starting point. And what do we say the starting point index is? 0. So you put 0. And then now you bring your colon. And what is the index for 5? You start 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. However, if you put 4 in there, right, it is going to subtract it from 1 from it. So it's not going to give you what you want. So let's see what happens. I remember I told you that the ending part of this is always n minus 1. So let's put 4 here and see what happens, because the index of 5 here is 4, right? Let's run it. You see, it didn't give you 5. So we have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, but it didn't give you 5 because the end here is always n minus 1, where n is the number of elements within the integer. So anytime you want to add your ending point, if you want the ending point to be part of it, okay? So what happens is if you don't give it an extra 1, it excludes your ending point. So if you want to include the ending point, then you need to add an extra 1 to it. So in this case, we have 0, we have 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. That is I'm talking about the indices. So since this is 4, we want 5 in there. We just add an extra 1, okay? So we add an extra 1 to this. We have 5, right? When you run this, you notice that now you have 5 within. So keep that in mind. The formula for this is starting point will start from where you want to start. However, the ending point, if you want to include the ending point within it, then you have to add an extra 1 to the index that you are going to assign to it. Irene, your hand is up.
A bit confused from where you listed and from list of underscore of underscore integers. That's where you are calling the list of integers. That's the 1, 2, 3. And when you came to the other one, list of integers in -2, how did you get the -2? Were you looking at the first number, which is 0, or you were doing it from the left side of the
Okay, so let me explain this again, all right? So what happens is that if what you see on the left-hand side is just the container, okay? So this is what you put within the container. So for example, if I say, give me a cup of water, you bring the water within a cup, but I don't need the cup, I need the water. You understand? So anytime I pick up the cup, it is the water that I'm bringing, not the cup itself. I hope that gives you an idea. So whatever you see on the right is what is contained within what is on the left. So if I pick anything on the left, I am not working with this name. I am working with what is within this name. Is that clear? Irene?
Yes.
Good. So now what is within this name? Initially, I said that if I want the first one, which is you see, like I mentioned, all these ones have indices, okay? So this one has an index of 0. This one, let me quickly go back to the code again, and then so that we quickly understand that part. It's very important because indices work. Let me present this. So this is what I'm saying. You see, this is a list that I created, but these are the elements within, come on. These are the elements within the list. However, these elements have places that they hold. For example, if there's a queue, there's always the first person, the second person, the third person, number 1. If you go to KFC or whatever, what number they call you, it's not your name, okay? That is where you are standing, okay? So your name is your name, but then where you are standing is the index. So now 2 is here. It's the first element. However, the index of 2 is 0 in Python. And 3 here is the last element. And 3 here has an index of 5. Okay, so if I want number 3 within this list, what I have to do is I have to call the index, not the number.
Okay.
Okay, keep that in mind. And this last one, always, if you want to pick the last one, it's the index is always -1. So if you want to pick from the last end, it starts with -1. But if you want to pick from the first point, which is the left side of the array, it starts with 0. So keep that in mind.
Okay.
So that's a quick one. Why are you trying to open NumPy? Don't worry, I've not gotten to the point where you'll be opening NumPy yet. So just take it easy, okay? All right, so we have ninth. Ninth, what's your question? Our time
Okay,
is
so
up.
I guess when you want to use the -2, you have to do the same thing. You have to do the negative then +1 to get to include your last number, right?
No, you don't have to do that. So, okay, if you want to do the negative, see, what you need to understand is that I said with the starting point, okay? You see the starting point? It always has to be where you are starting from, okay? And the ending point has to be where you want to end. However, it doesn't include that point. So in order to include that point, you have to add an extra 1 to it so that you can get that point included. That's how come we have this. So your answer, let's try something. See what happens, okay? When it comes to programming, anything that comes to your mind, try it. You would learn something new. I mean, what's the worst that could happen? You get an error? I mean, you can always rectify it, right? Good. So in programming, feel free to explore. So what you can do is, for example, you want to pick 6 to 9, all right? So now you have -1, -2, -3, -4. So let's see what happens when we do this. -4, okay, 2, -2. Let's see what happens, all right? It's an experiment. What happened?
It picked 6 and 7.
You notice that it picked 6 and 7. And what is 6? Negative what?
4.
-4. And what is 7? -3. But you notice that it did not pick 8,
8.
which is what we had wanted, right? So in that case, if you want to include 8, you have to subtract another 1 from it, because if you add 1, it's going to give you 0. So what we have to do is we subtract another, we add 1 to it this way. Sorry, add 1 to it exactly. And then you run it. So now it picks the 8. So you should always understand that with the end, if you want to include the end within your calculations, you should always add 1 to it. I hope that is clear.
No, please again.
Okay.
Sir, please let me try to explain it so that if he can get the understanding, then I also get the understanding. So
Sure, go ahead.
Understand, please calm down a bit.
Okay.
Yes. I'm using the first one. So if I understand clearly, it means that when it goes to the left side, if the right side of the arrays, the numbers, the integers, the values, it becomes negative. And when it moves on the left, it becomes negative. So let's say we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
The left starts with 0.
Yes,
And then
I
on the right
that one.
starts
Yes,
negative.
understand that one. It starts with 0 up to the last one. So let's say the 1 is 0. That's the index.
Yes.
The 2 is 1. Then the 3 is 2. Then the 4 is 3.
Yep.
Then the 5 is 4. Then the 6 is 5. In that order.
Wait. Hold your thoughts, yeah? I think because it's 1, 2, 3, it's confusing you people. Let me just give you another list, okay?
No, we want to understand that one. Maybe because we might run a program that has such list.
So I want to give you something that does not follow convention, so that you can actually appreciate what they are doing. I think the reason for the confusion is that because you are seeing the numbers, it is making you a bit confused. Okay, so let's just do it this way.
Yeah,
All right.
so
So now
the
use
colon,
this
the
one.
colon, what does the colon does?
I think I mentioned it, but I'll come back to it. Let me hear from Irene. Our time is up. So would you give me maybe some 10 minutes to sort this out? Or now the class is over. So
Yes.
if you feel tired and you want to leave, I'm not going to stop you. Okay. But if you want to, get an extra, let's just quickly do this for the next 10 minutes and then we are off. Okay.
Okay.
So that's
Okay.
okay. Awesome. All right. So Irene, we have this. Is it Irene or Esther? Who was
Irene.
speaking? Irene, sure. Go ahead.
So from the second list, we have 2, 5, 6, 9, 1, this thing. So the
5.
2 is 0, right?
Index 0, yes.
In the 0, then the 5 becomes 1, index 1.
Index 1, yes.
Then the 6 become index 2.
Definitely.
Then the 9 become index 3.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, up to the last number. So that means we have a 5 index, right?
Yes.
The last number is index 5. So when you are moving from the right-hand side where the 5 is, the 5 becomes 0, right?
No, it becomes -1. You don't start from 0.
Okay, -1. The end is always end with negative in that order.
Yes.
If you want to
Yes.
pick, let's say you want to pick from a range from up to the 9.
Mm-hmm.
From the right side up to the 9. So we have -1, -2, and -3. So the index on the 9 is -3, right?
Yeah.
So index
So
on
how
the
do I
9
write
is.
it?
Please, am I correct?
Yeah, so tell me how to write it and we run it and see if it works. That's all.
So -3.
-3 to where?
To negative.
Where do you want to start from? 9? Want to start from 9 to where?
9 to 5.
Okay, 9 to 5. Good.
Yes.
So then how do you do this?
So -3, then the last one end will be 4.
4.
A.
Okay, I put 4 in there. Let's see what happens. I'm just following your lead. Because 4 is here. You say you have 0, 1, 2, 3. Okay, 4. Because you didn't add the whatever, the last number to it, it gives you that. So let's see from -3 to 5 and see what happens. You see now I picked this because it is the starting point is this and the end point is this. Now you get the dynamics. So for programming, right, there is no one way of doing things. There are several ways of, that's why I keep saying you should always keep in mind that you should be a bit open-minded to learn something new. So an example would be, let's go with the second list, okay, quickly. All right, so the second list, I want to pick I want to pick 5 to 9, okay? This, I've highlighted it for you to see. So in that case, this is what I do. Index 0, index 1. So I start from 1. Starting point should always be, and the colon is just saying that, I heard someone ask about colon. Colon is telling you that from this point to the next, if you use only 1, okay, here, like this, what happens is that it will give you only 5 because you want only 1. Here. Only 1 item from the list. But then if you want a list out of that list, okay, like several numbers, then you have to bring the colon to tell it that I am not done. I want more numbers, okay? And we are saying that we are moving from 5 to 9. So what happens is that this is index 0, index 1, index 2, index 3. However, because you want to include index 3 in it, the ending, you should always add an extra 1. So even though the index is 3, you are going to put 4 here because see what happens if you put index 3.
It only
excludes 9 from it.
Okay.
And that's not what we want.
Yes.
So in order to include 9, we add an extra 1.
All right.
Okay. Then we run this. Now we have 9 included. Someone else might start from the negative, okay? This is -1, -2, -3, -4, -5. So I could similarly, for the same results, okay, write it this way. Negative is what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. -5, okay, to index 4. Let's see what happens. I get the same results.
Yes.
You see the beauty of it? I can do the same thing again. However, I choose a different approach. And this time around, I'm going to choose negative and negative. So this is -1, -2, -3. But because I want to include this, I'll
So
add 1 to it. Now it becomes -2. If I do from -5 to -2, right? See what happens. Same results. So you see the same thing. We have deduced 3 different ways of doing it. You get the beauty of programming. Similarly, we can try another one. So you can just play around. Programming is beautiful. You just have several ways of doing things. As long as you get the results, it is correct. That's why I keep saying in this class, there's nothing like a wrong answer. Only the ones that do not work, we can't accept them. So there's acceptable and unacceptable answers. That's all. All right. So there are quite a number of list of integers,
Okay, so if I
Wait,
get
there's
to
the hand up.
is
Let me get the hand first. Kindly wait for me.
okay.
There is Abdul. Abdul, your hand is up. Abdul.
Yeah, please, my Jupyter is not working anymore.
Yeah,
When
I
I
said
run it,
we'll talk about if you have any challenge your Jupyter, wait till after the class is done. Okay, let's just go through this briefly and then we should be done. Okay?
I was following. Just
Yeah,
that
don't
it's
worry.
not when you okay.
I'll have to work on it. Your problem is not a programming problem, it's a installation problem or software problem. So we'll talk about it later. All right, there was Irene as well. Irene, do you have anything else to say? I think it should be sorted, right?
No. Yeah, I was able to figure out, but now it's telling me that the command, the Jupyter command is something.
So we'll talk about that after the class then.
No problem.
All right, and then there was a young man. There was a young man that was talking as well. Can you
Yes,
kindly also?
yeah, I'm the one. So I'm saying that if I get what you want to say, if you want to include the last element in your
Yes,
in your
in the
selection,
yes
the
in the
last
list.
element, yeah, you need to add one, whether you are choosing from the left or from the right.
Exactly. You have to add 1 to the index number.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. So that is that. So now this is what I want you guys to do for me. A little challenge for you quickly before we end the class. So what I want to do now is I want to pick. So from this list, okay, I want to pick only the even numbers from this list. Oh, that one will make it more complicated. So let's just let me leave that. We'll come back to that later. So this is what I want. I want to pick this point to this point. And also finally, okay, let me explain this. If I want everything within this list, okay, everything here, what I do is I copy this and then I put colon here. So what this does is that it is telling me that give me everything within the list. So this is just a redundant command anyway, because it is the same as doing this. You get it? So this is redundant, but just to give you an idea. For example, if I want to pick from the first, okay, this first item to 6, and I know this is 0, this is 1, this is 2. Because I want to include 2, I'll add 3. And what I want to do is I can say from the beginning to 3. So basically, if I don't put anything here, what I'm telling Python is that everything from that side is included. You understand? So if I don't put anything, I'm saying that everything on the left-hand side is included.
Okay.
You understand? So if I run this is what happens. You see, it gave me 2, 5, 6 like I wanted. So sometimes if you are starting, if you want everything, you don't need to put it there. Sometimes it's a short time, you want to quickly do this and go. You get, and similarly, if I want this here, okay, this index is 0, this index is 1, index 2, index 3. So I just say from index 3, the starting point, right? Give me everything afterwards. You understand? And when I run this, you see what happens? Gives me 915. Everything after that. So if you don't want to explicitly say, maybe if you don't want to like truncate it and you want to take everything from where you are starting to the end, you don't need to put anything there. This would automatically do that for you. If that's understandable. I hope we're all clear on this. All right.
Yeah.
So
yes.
I was hoping to go through the NumPy as well and other things, but looks like we spent quite a number of time on the on the installation issue. So I would probably want to end here, and then we'll start our class next week. Sorry, on Thursday. So then it means that whatever we plan doing on Thursday, we have to push it forward a bit. Okay. All right. So class is over. Now we have questions and answers. So any question you have, you can raise it. And if you feel like you understand everything is clear, you can leave. We don't want to hold you. But if you want to stay and learn from some other mistakes too, I think it will be a good idea. It would help you as well. So Irene, your hand is up. From that, I'll go to Tyra and then Abdul. All right,
Yes,
Irene.
please. With the second list, where you bring the -5 colon -2, please can you come down to the main distance and let me understand.
Yes.
So you yes.
So let me explain it to you. This has index -1.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
-2.
Yes.
-3. -4.
Yes.
-5. Okay?
Yes. Yes.
And -6. But I want to pick from here to here.
Okay.
Right? So then I know that this is -5. You know, for a very long list, let's say 100 of the list, you want to pick the last 5 or the last 3 elements from somewhere. You can't run and go and find maybe start from 95 to something like that. You could do that as well, but the easier way would have been just start from -5, which we have here, and this is -4. This is -3. But like I said, if you want to end, you always add an extra 1 to it, to the index, right?
Okay.
So since this is -3, if I add +1, what then happens? It becomes -2.
Okay.
So if I run this, then now I get this.
Yeah, I understand.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good. So it's similar to this one, similar to this one, and similar to this one. All right, Abdul.
Yes. I was saying that my Jupyter is not working anymore. When you just enter any function and run it, you will not get answer or results.
You probably have changed something. I will show you. And it's good you have errors so that you learn some of these things. It really helps you to understand programming more. And I think there was Tyra. Tyra, what's your challenge?
Yes, please. It shows when I type the Jupyter, pip install Jupyter, it shows that I've already installed it. But when I'm trying to launch
Run the
it,
Jupyter notebook. It doesn't work.
Yes.
Okay. I would have a look at that. So before I leave this page, are there any questions about this before I leave this page?
Please, are you coming back to me?
Yes, I'll come back to you. Because when I leave you, I'm not coming back here again.
Okay.
So any questions with regards to what we've done so far today? The list slicing. This is the slicing of the list that I talked about. Any questions today? Any questions? All right, if there are no questions, then we'll go into solving the problems. Let me check the chat briefly. Yes, you are going to have the recordings. I think the organizers will let you have the recording. Don't worry about it. All right, so now that everything here is done, let's go into solving your. Next time, what I want to hear is I had this challenge. I Googled this, and this is what happened. I didn't get the results I need. Then we can work on it together. Because I don't want to spoon feed you in programming. You are not going to get that all the time. You need to know, you don't have to know everything, but know where to find everything. Because I might not be here all the time to help you with your problems. And this is not me trying to be hard. This is me showing you how the programmer mindset is, okay? So from today, I'm going to help you, but subsequently, if you have a challenge, you Google whatever challenge. If you're not able to fix it, then we talk about it together, okay? That is what I would want to hear. So now let's start with Abdul. Can you share your screen? Abdul, you can share your screen. Abdul, are you there?
Yeah, please, can you see my screen?
Yes, I can see your screen.
Okay.
Yep.
So when I ran this, I was not getting an answer, and this was what the prompts I was getting.
It means that your Jupyter notebook has crashed within the command prompt. Go back to your command prompt. Let me see what is in there. Abdul, your screen, I can't see it.
Okay, let me share the. I need to share the command prompt too.
So when that happens, what I suggest you do is
this is how it is.
Yeah, so you've logged out. You're not running anything, so you don't expect it to work. So type Jupyter Notebook here. How many command prompts do you have opened?
Only one.
Only one. So then you close
The
the
problem
other one.
happened when I was trying to install the other this thing that you showed we should install.
So I told you that if you want to install something new, open a new command prompt. Don't work within the Jupyter Notebook command because that is where it is taking information from. So Jupyter Notebook here. So a quick one, until you are done with Jupyter Notebook, do not close the command prompt because that is where it picks the information from. Okay, it's very important to keep that in mind.
Sir, please, I've solved my problem.
Oh, okay, you solved your problem, eh?
Yes,
exactly. That's what I want to see. You know, very good, very good. So you share with us what you did, okay? And how you solved it.
On the map,
all right,
yes.
So,
close to the map.
What do you call it? Abdul, I can't see your screen.
Okay. I've opened the Jupyter Note, so let me share it.
All right, so now that you have the Jupyter running, try running something again, see what happens.
Okay, it's now working.
Exactly. So when you have Jupyter here, don't close the command prompt.
Okay.
Jupyter doesn't work from the browser. The browser is only an interface for you to work from. But the command prompt is the main, base where everything is working from. Okay, so don't close the command prompt. All right.
Okay.
So, Tyra, your hand has been up for some time now. Then I'll go to Muriel and then Irene. Okay.
So please, this is when I type in the Jupyter notebook. This is what it says.
Jupyter is not a command. Read what it says. I can't see clearly from here.
Jupyter is not recognized as an internal or external command.
Have you installed Python?
Yes, I have.
And when you installed Python, do you add Python to path?
No.
When you were installing, remember I said that you have to add some path thingy, right? Okay, do you remember where you saved your Python to, the setup of Python? When you downloaded Python from there, go to your downloads. I think it should be in your downloads. Okay. Where is, can you see Python 3 point something something there? When did you download Python? Is it today or on Monday?
Monday.
Okay, so then let's go back to python.org. Go to your browser. So download, type python.org.
Oh, sorry.
You don't have that. Search button at the bottom. Type Python.
Okay.
Type Python in there. Let's see.
On the command prompt or
No,
the
in your search,
Windows?
you can minimize the
Okay.
command.
Okay. Just Python, right?
Yes, like you are
And
searching for
open.
Python. Yeah.
Okay, and open.